Hi everybody, Mike from RMT Family here. In this video we're driving our Model 3 to town after it has been sitting for at least 10 days outside in the cold. It was plugged in. It may be 15, it may be 20 days. I don't even remember how long it was sitting there, but at least 10 days. So it's been pretty cold the days before we drove it. It's been way below freezing. The day we actually drove it, it warmed up a bit. But so we needed to drive it again. And so we took it to town and we have some nice footage of the Montana scenery as well as stats on the car. I hope you enjoyed the video and don't forget to give us a thumbs up right away to get this YouTube algorithm going so we can get some more viewers and more subscribers. That said, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Here we go. So as you can see here, there's a blue bar there. That means it's actually charged up all that way, but this is capacity that is currently unavailable due to the battery being cold. Another indication of that is this little blue snowflake right there. And if we put this in gear or in drive, we can see on the line up here, there's a lot of dots coming from the left-hand side. So regeneration is almost completely gone at this point. On the right hand side we see a few dots, which indicates that we have reduced power availability, which means we can't do super hard acceleration, which we're not going to do anyway. So but yeah, due to the battery being cold, pretty much no regen at this point and somewhat reduced power availability. That shouldn't affect us though at all for driving the car, other than we have to use the brakes instead of regeneration. So I'm gonna plug it back in and we're gonna preheat it for about 10 minutes and then we'll look at this again. So here on the app it also shows up here in the corner that it's actually preheating the battery and not just the cabin. We are about 10 minutes into the preheat and we'll be going out there shortly and start driving. Alright, so we had about 15 minutes of preheating, and as you can see now here, the dotted line from the left for regeneration already shrunk. So now we got some regen available. And on the right hand side there is no dotted line anymore whatsoever, so we got full power available. So let's go on a drive. drove 15.9 miles, used 5 kilowatt hours at a 298 watt hour per mile average. That's not too bad at all. We still have the same regen limitation as we had when we started, but the drive was basically just normal. There was nothing unusual other than having a little bit less regeneration. So we'll continue the drive and check back in later. Alright, we got some weird stuff going on. Got a car parked straight behind us. He comes and goes. There's a person there, but the person's way over. Huh, don't know. Person on the side. Oh, maybe here. There we go. So, regen. Ah, there we go. I think you can see it now. There's still a few dots there. It improved as we drove over here. Whoa, that was not the goal here. I wanted to. We drove 30 miles now, used 9 kilowatt hours. We are at 310 watt hours per mile. It's not too bad because we were on the interstate and we're going 82 miles per hour on the interstate. Also, it is relatively cold still. It's only 38 degrees now. When we started, it was almost 10 degrees lower. We still have some regen limitation, and that is unusual. So normally after this drive to town here for the 30 miles, we will not have regen limitation. So this limitation is because the battery pack was cold soaked since we were not driving the car for so long, and we had extreme cold temperatures the last few days. So now we're gonna go here, run a couple errands, and then we'll drive around town a little more, and probably before we leave town I'll check back in and see where we're at. So we are at our last stop here in town. We decided to go through the car wash since it is now 45 degrees here in town. We still have some regen limitation here, even after being in town for a couple hours and driving around a little bit here. We are now up to 43.1 miles, used 14 kilowatts at 324 watt hours per mile. So we'll be driving home and see if that regen limit goes away or not, but definitely the battery pack was cold soaked. we made it back home. We've been around, driving around for about 5 hours or so. In town it was 45 degrees. Out here now we are at 35 degrees. It's always a bit colder where we live. We drove a total of 69.3 miles, used 22 kilowatt hours at an average of 315 watt hours per mile, which actually that's not too bad for the temperatures we got here. And we've been heating to 70 degrees in here, so we kept it nice and toasty. Also, driving on the interstate going 80 miles an hour uses quite a bit of power, especially in the cold weather now with the heater going. Anyway, finally we got a full line up there. No more restrictions. It took another about 15 miles on the interstate after we left the car wash before the regen restriction went away. So definitely, with this car being parked out here in the cold for so long, not being driven, even though it was plugged in, that pack, the battery pack, was pretty cold soaked because it took long time for it to actually take that regen restriction away. Usually if it's been driven daily from here to town, on the way to town the regen restriction will go away. If it's extremely cold, it will be almost all the way to town, but by the time I usually get to work, the regen restriction will be gone. So today it took much longer than that. So this pack was pretty darn cold all the way through, so it took quite a long time. But it still went just fine. Driving, there was no issues. It was all working out great. So it is really not a big deal if you have to leave your car parked out there in the cold or whatever, in the warm. It doesn't really matter. The car will take care of itself, even though it's an electric car, just like your gas car used to do. So this car was sitting here for 10 days or so, or even longer, and it was just plugged in, and we got in and it drove. A gas car may not even have started because it was so cold that the battery possibly could have died. Who knows? And well, this year we got in and drove, so it was really good. So no complaints, and this just makes me believe that EVs are basically superior to any internal combustion engine car. Well, thank you for watching. Please give us some thumbs up, comment, share, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.